Today we're going to see what we can do with these wood-based items. Welcome to my craft channel. I'm Alana from Upcycling NZ. I picked up several of these letters from a thrift store for 50 cents. I'm going to use a black chalk paint. This will only need one coat of this colour. Doesn't have to be pretty. Get round all the edges. Chalk paint doesn't take long to dry. Now I'm taking some PVA glue. You could use Mod Podge if you have a squeezy bottle like this. And I'm just dotting all the way around the edge. And when that's dry, I want those to look a bit like rivet heads. This is just an acrylic turquoise paint or aqua. Very pale acry colour. And I want this quite roughly painted on with the brush strokes going in every different direction. I'm going for a distressed look. Once that's dry, I'm using some copper acrylic metallic paint, and I'm just sponging that around the edges. You could go the other way and use turquoise around the edges and copper as a base. I'm just going to mix up some black paint in with that copper and rub it all along the rivet heads. And I'm just rubbing that into those rivet heads and then sponging it back with a wet wipe. I'm also just going to clean back a little bit of the turquoise. I'm using a bit of cotton to dangle this and work out the centre of gravity so it hangs straight, because I want it to hang on a wall. And I'm just drilling this starter hole so that I can thread an eyelet into it. I'm doing that on a slight angle, leaning back. I'm just painting the back and it's done. I was given this beautiful empty Scotch bottle after my boy had consumed the contents. It's got some beautiful Celtic designs on the bottle and on the box. So I want to take the labels off and the wrapper from around the neck. So I'm just removing that with a craft knife. It's a very high-end Scotch. I think it retails for about $400. It's been aged for 17 years. I'm just soaking that in some boiling water so I can remove those labels really easily and they come off clean. This Highland whisky was also a very high alcohol percentage, I noticed. These are some wire fairy lights. They run on battery. I'm just testing that to make sure they're going. Just feed that gently into the bottle. Take something long and poke it down so that it's sitting how you want it to. And at the top it's insulated, so that's where I'm putting the cork in. This is called the Light, this whisky, which is highly appropriate for what I'm making with it. I just think people have these lying around in the house a lot and don't really know what to do with them, so at least this now gives them a purpose once you've consumed your whisky. I'm just going to take some double-sided tape and I'm going to lock the battery pack into the back of the gift box. There's a nice angle there that I can tuck it away nicely, and I'm putting it where I can reach the switch easily. And that's finished. This next one's made from Jingle Blocks. I'm just nailing these together to make a little frame. Posted a video earlier about how to make those Jenga frames. I'm just cutting out some cardboard with a craft knife. The frame works great to cut around it. So make 3 of those for the base of your little frames. I'm using PVA glue for this and just spreading it out all around the base of that frame. You could use super glue or any other strong adhesive you might have on hand. I'm just smoothing the glue into the edges. I'm using a black chalk paint next and a foam brush. I'm going to paint these all over. Use a little brush on the inside so you can get in those sharp corners. Once that's dry, I'm going to use a white chalk paint. And I'm just going to do a very thin layer of that around the sides and top. I want a lot of that black to show through. Once you've done all 3 and they're dry, take some fine grit sandpaper and we're just going to distress it so some more of the black shows through on those. So they're looking great now. I'm just going to give them a clean with a wet wipe. And they are going to need another coat of black on the bottom and on the insides. And we're done. For the next project, I'm using a piece of driftwood, a couple of children's blocks with the arch in it, and this $2 rolling pin I got from a thrift store. I'm going to use the toy blocks as a mount for the rolling pin. So I'm just drawing around those in the place that I want them to sit. I'm going to use 2 screws in each so that they don't spin around on the board. I want to countersink the screws, so you take a drill bit a little bit bigger than the head of the screw and just take a little bit out of the top of the wood. I'm going to glue down the blocks at this point. Just put them where they're about to go. And when they're dry, you can just flip it over and it makes it easier to put the screws in. You'll see how the screws sit nicely below the wood. I'm giving the rolling pin a quick sand because it has some rough, sharp edges on it. Next, I'm taking a piece of music paper and I'm just going to rip down the size that I want. And I'm going to take some instant coffee granules mixed with boiling water just to age that paper a little bit. I don't want it looking too brand new. And I'm using a little antiquing wax mixed with some water just to go around the edges. I'm just swiping that back a little bit, it was a bit dark. Now I'm taking some PVA glue, or you could use Mod Podge, and I'm decoupaging that paper onto the rolling pin. It's a bit brown, that paper at the moment, that's because it's still drying, it'll lighten up when it's dry. This is folk art paint and it's a rose pink. It dried a little bit darker than it appears here, so I really like the colour. And I only needed 1 coat. This is excellent paint. I'm also using that colour to stencil the word home onto another piece of music paper. Allow it to dry in between. And I'm also going to use a bit of that antiquing wax around the edges. So decoupage that on as well. This is a book of roses. I get a lot of pictures out of this for decoupaging. So just cut as closely as you can around those. And I'm just going to do a row of each at either side of the rolling pin. Just give the entire thing a really good coat of PVA glue. Drill 2 holes above those toy blocks and thread some. I'm using a double length of macrame cord through and not the ends. I'm using the cord to the front so that it really pins that against the wall because there's a lot of weight on the rolling pin. This is my cat Zipper, and he's come home today to be assaulted by the neighbour, weren't you, love? Here he is there, the neighbour. So he's put himself into the corner because he knows he's for shame for starting a fight. Zipper's pretty chuffed that he is not the one in trouble today. Who's the one in trouble, Zip? Who was the one that caused the trouble today, Zipper? What do you reckon? He was. Yep, Fred's the one in the naughty corner today. Hey, thanks for stopping by, and I've got a shout out to Julie P. You know who you are. Thank you so much for your support. Bye for now.